Hey everybody, this is Ian Jacklin from icurecancer.com. I've got my friend Jahn Beckler here I've been wanting to get him on here forever because he listened to what I had to say. And basically because he had cancer, and I said, there's one guy and one guy only, and that's Dr. Bernardo. And you were one of the last people that were lucky enough to get treated by him that I knew, because they all because he passed away, and so now I coach people myself. But you were lucky enough to meet the man himself. So, what was it like? First of all, introduce yourself and let us know what your relationship was like with Dr. Bernardo and what happened.
Well, because of you introduced me to him. It was in the beginning. It was one of those things where, I wouldn't think that it was actually possible to alternatively treat the situation that I had, because as you know, when you are the person that is giving the words that you have cancer, you don't respond to it in a way, I'll try an alternative route. You just start listening to conventional doctors, which I was doing. And my initial meeting with him, I didn't know what to think of it. He sounded like he knew what he was talking about. He made me feel comfortable. And I think the fact that he made me feel comfortable made me try out the process of what he wanted me to do, which I did.
Well, let's start. What kind of cancer did you have? What had you been doing? What were you thinking of doing? And how did you even find out?
Yeah, it was thyroid cancer that spread throughout my lymph nodes. I had 7 tumors on my jugular, my spine. I did start to do conventional medication. So initially, before Dr. Bernardo, I was going the conventional route. I found him midstream, after talking to Timmy, and Timmy gave me your number, then you gave me Dr. Bernardo's information and stuff like that. So I did go the conventional route. And the conventional route that I went, they did surgery on my neck. They took out my thyroid. I have Dr. Bernardo, when he found out, when I told him I went and did it, he almost lost his mind.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. So I had my thyroid removed, 48 lymph nodes, 24 lymph nodes, 7 tumors on my jugular, my spine. And after post-surgery, my thyroid globulin levels were just going through the roof. And that's when their protocol in the conventional world was to wait. Let's sit back. Let's wait for it to metastasize somewhere. Hopefully it's not your lungs or your brain, is what they exactly told me. And then we'll figure out, once it metastasizes somewhere, we'll figure out a way to treat it and how to target it through either chemo, radiation, or surgery. Obviously, I didn't like to hear that was the only way to do it, because that's the only thing that they ever talk about. And I went full stream with Dr. Bernardo's protocol and the juicing and the pH balancing of the diet. And I had some other lymph nodes that were still swollen in my neck after the surgeries. So when I went back to go see my conventional doctor, and I was about only a month into pH balance in the body, the juicing, the building up the immune system, everything that he told me to do, everything, from A to Z. Only about a month into it, the lymph nodes that were like golf balls on my neck were like non-existent. You couldn't even find them. So when I went back to the doctor, between testing looking for the thyroid globulin levels, they were at like 91, which that number doesn't really mean to anybody unless you have thyroid cancer. My thyroid globulin levels were at like 91, 92. But I don't have a thyroid, so I shouldn't have any levels at all. So what had happened was, and the lymph nodes being swollen in my neck, when I went back to the doctor, he couldn't even find the lymph nodes in my neck after only a month of pH balance in the body and the juicing. He couldn't even find the lymph nodes anymore. And then when we did the blood test, the levels went from whatever they were, 90 something, I think they were initially, all the way down to 19. So when they seen the results, the doctor, almost like a disgruntled girlfriend thing, I was cheating on her. He was like, well, who's treating you? Who gave you radiation? Who gave you the chemotherapy? Did they do surgery on you? And I'm like, no. This is what I did. And he's like, no. And he found every excuse. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but he found every excuse in the world for that to not be possible. So that being said, that was 2010. We're now 2016. And my thyroglobulin levels are like flushed down to like close to zero. But I just maintain. I pH balance my body on a daily, the juice in the regimen, still all the, supplements that stop inflammation. And, listen, I'm a wholehearted believer. I had a girl that works in my office who she had severe back pain. And I pumped her up on just turmeric alone. Just by the end of the day, she came in and she goes, my back, I don't feel any pain. And she was moving boxes the night before. God.
Yeah, turmeric. He said turmeric in case that went out, folks. Amazing stuff. And the high power, what's it called? Curriculum? You know what I'm talking about? Where they actually take the powerful stuff out of turmeric and make an extra strength curcurum, I think it's called.
Steroids, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's true, folks. It's true. His supplements are, they're the best.
I walk around. It's somewhere around here, believe me. But I walk around with a little plastic case of the supplements that he has given me back in 2010 of the same ones. I buy the same ones, different chains, different brands and stuff like that, more strength and stuff like that. But I carry around like I'm that old man with the pill case. But all natural.
Exactly. And the way to go, and it worked. Look at you. You look very healthy, and I'm so happy. And you know what is very dear to me, my friend, because you and I have something in common. One of our best friends, I know he's your best friend because you grew up with them from little kids, Tim, our friend Tim. And he was one of my best friends in Hollywood for a few years. We had some good times. Used to go dirt biking together and stuff. So when he came to me and said his best friend was dying of cancer, I'm like, that's bullshit, dude. Don't even worry about it. He's like, he was really skeptical at first, I think. Well, we'll see. But anyway, I hooked you up and you listened to him. And this is the main thing I want to tell my people out there is like, you have the cojones, you have the intelligence to go and just do it. Just do it. You did the diet. And he was right. You didn't have to get all that surgery done to cut all that shit out because all that cancer would have went away just by becoming alkaline and you could have kept your actual tissues. But it's okay. If they cut it out, they cut it out. And that's where most people come to me after they've had it cut out. And then I give them the exact same thing you got, what you had from him. And I give them the same kind of attitude. And he was a cool guy to talk to, right?
Right. Well, he made me feel comfortable. Here I am, at the time I was 40? Yeah, so I was 40 years old. I just turned 40, diagnosed. Yeah, that was 2010. I was diagnosed with the cancer, 2009, 2010. And here I am, a grown-ass man who was 3 days of sitting in just utter shock, staring at the ceiling. And I called him, and he, at the other end of the phone, I'll never forget, he's like, buddy, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Listen, just do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I couldn't find Daycon. I live in Jersey. I'm on the East. And for some reason, there was no Daycon Radis. That guy, give me the address again. Next day, big box of Daycon Radis set my front door. Just sent it because he just was a believer in making sure that you had the things and get. I never had a chance to physically meet the guy, but I talked to him on the phone all the time because I would call him 10 o'clock at night. As soon as I thought that he was up in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, your time, the guy was great, man. Yeah, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, and you went out a little bit there because of the connection. So I think you were saying something about we kind of missed a little bit. What you just said about how you could call him at any time or something.
I was calling him, because I was a grown ass man, like almost crying at the other end of the phone because I mentioned of feeling helpless. You know what I mean? So I was like a helpless guy, and here he was at the other end of the phone. Forget about it. Listen, blah blah blah. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna get that out of your body. Stop crying. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be all right. I'm like, oh, okay. And man, 30 days later, when I just can never forget the day, man, because 30 days later, when I couldn't find the lymph nodes in my neck. And I went back to the doctor to say, well, if we don't do surgery to take these lymph nodes out, like what will happen? And he goes, oh, they'll get elongated, they'll get more firm, and then they'll wind up breaking, and then they'll spread throughout your body, and we got to get them out, blah, 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 whatever. I'm like, okay. But then when I went back and the lymph nodes weren't there, and I said to him, you said something about them getting, more firm and elongated and that they couldn't shrink. It wasn't possible. I'm like, all right, we were there to do because we were talking about another surgery. So we were there to do the pre-surgery checkup. And when he went in to go look for the lymph nodes in my neck and he couldn't find them, he was pulled off the gloves. He goes, well, Mr. Beckler, what do you want me to tell you? That because I can't feel them, we tested them, we did a biopsy, there's cancer there, they got to come out. I don't care if I can't feel them, I can't find them, we tested them. And that was their whole thing. So that's when I knew that there was something. There was really something. In that first 30 days only, I mean, they went from like little golf balls to like little flaccid water balloons that lost all the water, just a couple drops left in it. I mean, it was pretty amazing experience for you to be the person instead of hearing the story, but for you to be living it. You know what I mean? It was scary and amazing.
Yeah, holy smokes, man. That's amazing. I'm so glad we're finally able to do this, buddy. You know how you and I have been talking about doing this for years. So.
Years.
Because too many people, they don't know. And let me give you guys, some solace as well. Dr. Bernardo, man. See, God just, not to get too crazy, but he must have, the universe, whatever, brought us together. Because in 2003, I met him at the Cancer Control Society just by an accident. One of my producer friends were trying to get me to interview cool people, and she found this guy and thought he's cool. So I interviewed him, had a good interview. I'm sure you've seen it. Most people have the Dr. Bernardo interview from IQ Cancer. And he talked a real good game. And you know what? They even had shows out back then because somehow they had gotten through to me and my people that he was a fake or whatever. But I'm like, whatever, man. I just look people in the eye and I could tell if you're lying or not. And I knew he wasn't lying. So I started following his people and sending people to him like you. And I'll tell you what, even when I sent you to him, I didn't have the kind of confidence I have now, because that was, you said, like many years ago when you went to him. Since then, I've had people come to me and try and like rip his, like not try and rip it apart, just logically go through it. And they have not found anything better since, So I still, you can tell, like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just a kid with a camera in LA, and I wanted to make a movie that counted, and I was shooting all this stuff. And so it all worked out in the end. So yeah, I just want to let people know that he is the real deal. And you're living proof of it. Can you tell me what were some of the things? What are the keys to getting yourself healed from cancer? I believe it's getting your pH to 7.4, correct?
Right. I mean, that's even now, like, this is pH balanced water, 8.2. I drink that all day long, but juice, that protocol from Dr. Bernardo, I still have the protocol. I juice that every morning. I actually have a girl that comes to my office because she has cancer. And she knew about my situation. She had breast cancer. So she comes to my office every morning. She doesn't have any money. She's broke, type of situation. Well, I shouldn't say broke, but she's on hard times. So what I do with her is I buy all the vegetables. I have the juicing in my office. She comes in. We juice every morning together. And we're her health. Her levels are fine. Everything's good with her as well.
Right on. Do you do that one with the papaya and everything?
Plus the supplements throughout the whole entire day, and building the immune system with the supplements that build the immune system. Anything building the immune system, the vitamin C, the pH balance in the body, the juicing, like my whole regimen, my whole day. In the beginning, it's like a full-time job. But then it just becomes second nature because the results that come out of it, it's just part of what you need to do.
Right.
If you've been affected by cancer. So for the most part, that's, cutting out all the acidic foods is very, very important. Diet, not just juice and everything else, but your diet is a major, major part of it. And there's a pH scale diet for anybody who wants to stay on that. There's a pH scale of what you should be eating below 7%, above 7%. You just have to make a diet of 8-20. You have to have a little bit of acidity in your diet. But for the most part, I eat 80% alkaline food and 20% acidity, because you have to have the acidity. Otherwise, you have other problems.
Exactly. And I've always known vegan is good, but almost vegan's better because you really need a little bit of, like Bernardo would say, salmon, some bison, right?
Right.
I mean, if you want to be vegan, you got to be careful. And you got to really put in a lot of supplements too. I'm not saying you got to have, bacon for breakfast, a hamburger for lunch, and a steak for dinner like we used to. I'm just saying that once you could have that over maybe a month, and again, organic is the key, folks. Organic, because it's
everything.
Right?
For the most part, 90% of the vegetables are organic. Some of them don't have to be. You just have to wash them really well. Like broccoli, asparagus, all that stuff doesn't, it's better than you do, but, some people don't have the money to buy everything organic. So some of the things you can get away with not having to be organic.
Yeah. Try and go organic because it's. But you're right. You got to do what you got to do. They have certain washers that take some of the pesticides off and stuff. But the key is, and David Icke says it really well in one of his videos, is that they've been doing it since the 40s. So that's many years. These plants that we eat have not had to fight off any pests of their own. They just had all that filthy stuff on them. So like they don't have the energy in them anymore to fight anything off. So when we eat them, that energy is not in us to fight things off. That's why we're getting ill, supposedly on an energetic scale, like a quantum thing or something. But at any rate, if you can't you got to do what you got to do when it comes to the supplements. I tell people when they come to me for the cannabis oil and stuff, I'm like, are you eating organic first? Are you getting the supplements first? You need to do all this stuff. If you want to do cannabis oil, unless it's skin cancer, then that's the first thing I say you do. But if it's any other kind of cancer, cannabis oil is pretty good. I don't know if you tried that yet, but the most important thing is Bernardo's protocol first, and then the rest is bonus,
Absolutely.
So, okay. I guess, is there anything else that we're missing? Did we nail it all there?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, obviously there's a lot more of everything and, just having the willpower and everything else to stay on track. But for the most part, for me, it's been pH balance in the body. It's been, just the organic vegetables, juicing, and that's pretty much, that's all I wasn't even really maintaining a great diet in the beginning. Mine was all about pH balance in the body that first month, and I've seen the results from that alone. So after that, everything else, I started looking deeper, digging in deeper. And I do everything naturally. Even if I have any pain, I have a prescription here in New Jersey for the medical marijuana card. So for that, I'll go and I'll get the certain strands to stop inflammation, and they have it. And I mean, there's a strand for everything, but that stops the pain. You don't need to do anything pharmaceutical. Well, I shouldn't say anything, but for the most part, you can steer away from a lot of pharmaceuticals just by taking some natural supplements.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say when I was talking about the cannabis. When people are on their end stages, that's when they're like, because I'm saying like, no, spend the money on the this and that, and they're like, no, we're dying. We want to get off the morphine and just go in peace on the oil. I'm like, well, if I was you, I would do that then. Yeah. So, and you're right about the pain and the inflammation, and it also causes cancer cell apoptosis. So, but smoking of it only gives you 13% of the THC. So you really want to eat the actual cannabis oil if you can afford it,
And the vapor too, right?
Vaping's okay. You get a little more than the 13% from the smoking, but it's still nothing compared to having to go through your digestive system. So the Rick Simpson oil is like the classic kind of stuff that's the best for everything. I mean, but I'm glad you're there to back up the protocol. Dr. Bernardo's protocol is the most important thing, in my opinion. And if you were one that even needed surgery to get something removed, like you actually did it, by accident or whatever, you already did your surgery, and look, you're proof. You're fine. Because this is what I tell everybody. Once they find out, oh my God, I got a biopsy and it just spread the cancer, I tell them, because it does. If you get a biopsy, it spreads the cancer. But you are now going to be a pH of 7.4 for the rest of your life. So cancer's never going to be able to grow. If it did, it's going to die. So that's it, right?
Exactly. Even if you have the cancer cells in your body, what you can do maintain that pH balance, and it's just like taking your head and stuffing it in water. Like after a while, you're not gonna be able to breathe. It's just gonna die. It's the same exact analogy of the cancer cells with 7.4 pH balance. If you're at the 7.4 balance, the cancer cells will die. They could be there right now, but who cares? You know what I mean? And it's a hard pill to swallow if you have cancer, because you're taking a lunge to go and do something that you don't have 100% faith in, because when you're talking about your body, it's a totally different animal. It's so easy to say to somebody, do this, this, and this, and you'll be fine. But when it's you, it's a whole different story. You know what I mean? And so it's just crossing that bridge and having yourself the ability and the strength to actually try it. But the fact of the matter is, you went, by the time you get diagnosed with cancer, you didn't know you had it. Something was wrong. So you went that time without cancer. So you don't need to go ahead and take a chance for another 30 days just to see if any results happen. Any type of markers that you have, get those markers tested. If you see something positive going in your way, you know you're on a path to something. You know you're on the right path. If you don't see anything, after a month, 2 months, 3 months, you may want to, your mind will drag you to the conventional side because you just get scared. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I know right away, first time, that in that 30-day period, it was maybe less than a 30-day period, the results that I saw and the thyroglobulin levels dropped down, and the doctor's face when he seen the thyroglobulin drop down said it all for me. And that was I don't even want to mention his name, but that was 2010. I haven't seen a conventional doctor since 2010. I've been dealing with just alternative doctors. That's it.
Yeah. Well, right on, man. I'm glad that we got to keep you around, and hopefully I'll see you soon at one of our buddies' events there. Tim, what does he throw? Let's plug his thing. What he's got for the veterans, right?
What is 9/11 is the Heroes Project. I think it's 9/11 on the Santa Monica Pier.
That's right.
You're going to be there this year?
Maybe I'll see you there this year, because I came home from my father's death, but that seems to be all. I think everything's cool on the home front, so I may be able to get back there for that. So maybe I'll see you then.
Heroes Project on Santa Monica Pier in September 11th. I go to them every year, so I'm clearly going to go to this one as well.
Yeah, it's a major party.
New York and Texas too. It's growing. It's growing big.
Right on. It's a major event, folks, and I may even be there this year. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for talking to me and sharing your story, because this is going to help so many people. I'm telling you, folks, Dr. Bernardo I've not found anybody do it better yet, because it's really common sense. It's just cancer. You don't die of cancer, you die of acidosis. Very simple. So you become alkaline, correct?
Exactly.
All right, man. Good having you, John. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks.